Hey everyone, my name is Ina and welcome back to my vlog. Today I thought we'd go over my PlayStation 2 collection. My PS2 collection was actually the first collection that I built as I was starting to get into, getting into collecting physical games. So it was the first place I started, and it's kind of the reason why I really started to care about collecting games kind of in the first place. So the reason why I decided to kind of start collecting PS2 games, and this was sort of at the start of the pandemic, was when I was a kid, me and my brother shared a console, and the PS3 was sort of coming out around the corner, and he decided that he would take our PS2 and then sell it to our local games, like GameStop, essentially, or EB Games, depending on where you're from, and trade it in for a credit to put towards a PS3. And as a child, I wasn't done with the PlayStation 2. I was still playing it nearly every single day, still playing classic games that obviously we'll get to behind me, like Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank games, just so many, Crash Team Racing, stuff like that. And he decided that all the games that I got and were given as gifts through Christmas and things like that, he would also just trade those in. And the caveat was like, yeah, but we're getting a PS3, and you know, it happened. You get over it. The passage of time moves along, but I kind of felt really sad that I wasn't able to keep those games. And so during the start of the pandemic, I really wanted to build my collection that I had as a kid back. And so the process of the PS2 collection is not fully done. I've still got a couple more to get, but luckily they're not, you know, too expensive ones. Actually, they're actually more reasonable ones. But yeah, so today I thought I would take you guys through my PlayStation 2 collection. So why don't we just begin with one of the piles behind me. First up, we have Maximo. This is a third-person action RPG. This is one where it was like, there's always, I feel like everyone has that moment, like a memory of, do you remember that game? And then you vaguely describe it, and then everybody's like, it sounds sort of familiar. And then you kind of go looking online, and then you eventually like come across like one thing that looks sort of like the thing you found. And Maximo is one of those games. Maximo is a game that I never had or owned as a kid, but my neighbor actually owned it. And I remember this one specific graveyard scene, and I was like, where and what is this game? And I was able to actually find it, and then the music kind of came back to my ears, and I was like, oh my god, it's Maximo. Maximo is the game I'm looking for. Yeah, I just remember playing this at my friend's house, and it was super fun, and I only really remembered it as I was kind of coming along this collection trail for picking up PS2 games, and I was like, well, I have to get it, because when I did play it over at his place, man, it was such a fun game. And it's made by Capcom, which is crazy. But yeah, Maximo, great little third-person action RPG. Definitely recommend. Here's a more interesting one. So I've been playing From Software games for quite a while now, but I really wanted to sort of find their roots, and I did like a lot of sort of digging back and stuff like that. And Kingsfield 4, this is a Black Label release in Australia, and is essentially the predecessor to the Souls series, especially Demon Souls. They share a lot of DNA, the Kingsfield games, to Souls likes, and there's even like I always forget their name. They're in Sen's Fortress, I think, in Dark Souls, one of the little snake boys with the spears and the shields. They are also in this game, which is crazy. And yeah, I wanted to kind of get in before these got too expensive, because I figured From Software was just growing at such a rapid pace. So I was like, I at least want to get one of the Kingsfield games, because I believe Kingsfield 1, 2, and 3 are all PS1 titles, I think. Maybe 3 isn't. But yeah, super cool. I gave it a little playtest. It is really interesting. There's some great videos on it. I definitely recommend go checking it out. The gameplay is a little dated because it's also like first person, which is really strange. But yeah, definitely go look at this one if you're interested and you're a From Software fan, because a lot of their DNA is actually found within Kingsfield 4 for sure. Oh man, oh dude, this one's a classic. Okay, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas Black Label. I mean, what can you say, dude? This game had everything, and on a PS2, this game was utterly insane. How much content was crammed in this thing. You could customize vehicles. The story was amazing. So many different types of guns and weaponry. Really well written characters. Possibly the greatest radio stations ever put into video games. Yeah, CJ, awesome main character, and yeah, just the land mass that you got to play on was just huge. It was just sprawling, and yeah, I remember playing this as a kid just all the time. And the funny thing is, I actually beat it for the first time ever this year, because when I got this as a kid, it was actually given to me with a completed game save memory card. So I just used to go around the open world, you know, doing normal GTA things. But yeah, I purchased the remakes bundle, the trilogy, this year, and actually played through it and beat it, and it was really good. And I'm really sad as a kid I never just decided to pull the trigger and actually play it on the PS2. But yeah, super cool, super awesome. Love San Andreas. Guitar Hero, the OG. I got this for it says $5 on the side, but they gave it for me for $2 at an op shop, which is just like a Goodwill for American viewers. It's yeah, just, I mean, what can you say? Guitar Hero was just like such a cultural phenomenon. Yeah, just not as my favorite one was number 3. I don't have 3. I've just got 1. But yeah, I mean, what can you say? Is Guitar Hero? It's a great video game. Soul Reaver 2: The Legacy of Kain. Yeah, man, this game, and I have the PS1 copy, the Soul Reaver 1. Because one of my favorite YouTubers to watch goes by the name of Shill Up to his friends, Australian game reviewer, and he just does not shut up about Soul Reaver. And I was like, okay, I have to buy these games, I have to play them. And holy crap, man, these games were so far ahead of their time mechanically, especially the PS1 version. The mechanics that are in that game are just so modern. They're so modern and just so intricate, and I couldn't believe that they were on these consoles. The story is also outstanding. The voice acting is just ridiculous for PS1 and for PS2. It's some of the best voice acting in a game I've actually still heard. Yeah, I was blown away by these. You play as a vampire who's kind of like wings have sort of been like cut off, and you kind of move between these two worlds that don't it's kind of hard to explain. It's sort of more a game you need to play. And it's, yeah, third person action RPG. And yeah, I mean, I couldn't recommend the Soul Reaver series enough. Skill Up, he was right. He was right on this one. But yeah, got the Black Label for that, complete in box. Beautiful. We have Black Label, Sly Raccoon. So by the way, most of these copies of games will be PAL, because I'm from Australia. So, you know, not too many NTSC copies I have, except for a few which you'll probably already noted behind me if you can see them. But yeah, Sly Raccoon. I never played the Sly games growing up, and I thought that, you know, it didn't appear that they were going to be remade anytime soon for the new consoles, so I thought I would get them. And so I may as well pull up with the other ones. So we've got Sly 2, Band of Thieves. And what was this one called again? The Honor Among Thieves for Sly 3. But yeah, my friend, he knows who he is an incredibly massive Sly fan. And he was basically the reason that I bought them in the first place, because they're like some of his favorite childhood games on the PlayStation 2. So I'm, yeah, really looking forward to playing these on the OG hardware. So my PS2 is a modded PS2 as well, which basically means that it can play PAL and NTSC regions. I don't have any pirated games or anything like that. I just bought it just in case I wasn't able to find a game in Australia for, you know, an okay price, because we didn't, for a lot of games, especially RPGs and JRPGs, we didn't get too many copies, but the States and Japan obviously did. So that is why I acquired a modded console. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to actually playing these. I've heard that they're not too long, so I think it'll just take one good weekend, crack through them, and yeah, and sort of see what it's all about, to be honest. But yeah, all black label, all complete in box. I believe the third one as well, which hopefully I'm showing the B-roll footage, also has the 3D glasses that come with it, which is really funny. But yeah, that is the first pile down. So why don't we get into the second pile here? Jak and Dexter, the Precursor Legacy. So this is the original Jak and Dexter. I mean, this game is... It's funny, out of the series, this is my least favorite, but for most people, I believe it is their favorite, because it's more just kind of like a platformer. I have played this and I finished it once as a kid, because, yeah, I just kind of liked the combat more of 2 and 3, so I kind of stuck with those a lot, but this is where it all began. Still an absolutely incredible game in its own right, and yeah, mute Jak and our loud friend Dexter. Jak 2 Renegade. So a lot of American viewers watching this are probably very confused about, maybe not Renegade in particular, but number 3, the cover art is much different, I believe. And yeah, Jak 2, man, what an incredible video game. You get your hoverboard, and then is it Nax? Oh god, I'm blanking on all the names. It's been so long since I've played them. But getting introduced to Dark Eco, third-person action-adventure game. Dude, this game was sweet, man. And the fact that it had the hoverboard, the story, the way the character's written, it's so funny and charming, and for the time, really beautiful. Like, I think these games have aged incredibly well due to the art style. And yeah, Jak got his voice. I thought he had a really cool, gruff voice, and yeah, just an amazing game. It's so hard to fathom or express how much how great the Jak series is, and I really wish for them to make a fourth one. Please no Jak X2, I beg you. All right, so we got Jak 3. This is my favorite Jak game, for sure. This game is incredible. I mean, starting out in the desert, dude, the desert environment is actually one of my favorites, and getting the hopper car, which is just like a car that can like spring jump super high, and then unlocking a bunch of cars. So many cool like cheats and stuff, like when you actually used to have to collect things to earn cheats and you could turn them on, like, you know, just dumb stuff like bobblehead mode and things like that. But just like kind of like wrapping up the story, it was really awesome. This was such a fantastic game, and yeah, god, I love this game. This is, yeah, it's like top 3 on PS2 for sure. But yeah, absolutely love Jak 3. Beautiful. If you haven't played the Jak series, please do yourself a favor. There's the bundle of them that are on the PS4 and PS5. Do yourself a solid, play the Jak series. They're absolutely incredible if you like third-person action RPGs that are pretty wholesome, and really fun. And then we have Jak X, a complete driving game, and that's pretty much all you do. You upgrade your cars, and you race in death races. Not a bad premise. It was okay. It's not too bad, but it's also not the greatest either, because it kind of takes away from what Jak is, to be honest. But I have it, and the only other Jak game I'm missing, I believe, is Frontiers. I still need to grab a copy for PS2, just to, because I'm a franchise collector. I like to collect all games in franchises, so I really need to make sure that I get a copy of that before it goes up too much in price. But yeah, and then I thought I would show off some fun ones. So this is the first game, but this is the Japanese version of it, and the reason I got these is because they were super duper cheap, and the art is amazing, And that's kind of like the only reason I really sort of got them, was that the art style was super cool and they were like really cheap from Japan. So if you guys are also fans of, you know, collecting alternative covers and stuff, definitely check out these games on eBay. I think this cost me like $5 maybe 10 at like tops. But yeah, super cool, love that one. And then we've also got Jak 2, which is just the sickest cover art of just any game I've ever seen in my life. The Japanese art for Jak 2 is just so cool. It like really reminds you of like a sick like anime poster. And the back, which I'll be showing the B-roll footage, is also super sweet. And unfortunately, in Japan, from what I can tell, from what I can gather, Jak 3 didn't get sort of a different cover. I'm not even sure if it sort of released in the country in sort of Japanese. That's probably wrong. If you do know of a different version of Jak 3 that came out in Japan, please let me know, because I'd love to get it. But other than that, the only other alternative cover that I have is the American cover for Jak 3, which is the NTSC version, which is really cool too. I really love the front and the back of the American one. And it's really cool that the graphic goes down the side, which is much cooler than the Australian PAL or European ones, where it's just white and then black for everything on the side. But yeah, that's pile 2 done. Why don't we get into our final pile for PS2 games? Okay, I'm sure a lot of you can kind of guess what the last pile is going to be. It's Ratchet and Clank pile. Yeah, Ratchet and Clank, I mean, what an absolutely incredible series. First game, starting it off, I remember I played this first on a demo that came with a magazine that I bought at a, oh god, what do you even call them? A news agency. And I played it, and I was instantly in, and I immediately went to my mum, and I was like, Mum, I want this for Christmas. and I got it for Christmas, and it's just so awesome, man. I mean, the gadgets, the weaponry, the charm of the story, the characters, Ratchet and Clank, just such an iconic duo. They work so well together. And it's just such a beautiful starting point. It's just such an awesome game with incredible gameplay. And yeah, I mean, things only progressed from that point on. Obviously, we got Ratchet and Clank 2 locked and loaded, at least in PAL regions. I forget if the name is different in... Is it Going Commando? Is that what it's called? Or is that 3 in the States? The names are so different in each country. I don't know why, but I guess maybe for rating stuff. But Locked and Loaded, I mean, it's just like more of the same, just cranked to like 10 at this point. Once again, new threats, new enemy, but still super great, super tight gameplay, insanely fun. Love Ratchet and Clank 2. But my absolute favorite for sure, Up Your Arsenal, which this might be the one that was called Going Commando, but I'm not too sure actually. I can't remember if 3 was called something else in the States, but man, I mean, this game is just insane. Like, I played through this game so much, and just the ability to go New Game Plus, the Quark missions, like, a lot of people didn't like them. I really like the Quark missions. Finding the platinum bolts, unlocking all the new skins and weapons and cheats and all the new weaponry it added, and just the end of the kind of like the nefarious storyline, like towards the tail end, and just so funny. The Ratchet and Clank series, like the early ones anyway, were just so funny. I mean, I kind of really want to insert the clip here of Quark talking to the monkey. If you know, you know.
I thought we agreed to put that jungle business behind us. It was mating season. How could I have known she was your sister? How long have you two been standing there?
But yeah, dude, for anybody who played these games, you already know how fantastic they are. And please, if you haven't played the OG Ratchets, unfortunately there's no like PS4, PS5 bundle for them. Unfortunately, PS3 got a like remastered set of them, I think. But you know, PS3s are kind of, you know, not really around besides eBay and stuff like that. So yeah, 3, man, probably, man, this is top 3 too. It's super hard, but yeah, love up your arsenal. Ratchet and Clank Size Matter. So this is a PSP game that was ported to PS2. I have yet to play it. I wanted to grab it because franchise collector. But yeah, actually I cannot talk to this one. I have not played it. I've heard mixed things. That's okay. More Ratchet and Clank, so definitely still gonna give this one a shot. We have Secret Agent Clank. This is another one. Heard mixed things. PSP game to PS2. Yeah, can't really speak to it. You play a lot as Clank, or probably entirely as Clank, which is an interesting premise for a game. So I really want to see how this one plays out. This one had to come from the UK. We literally had none of these in Australia, like, whatsoever. So, I mean, it was kind of a mission to grab this one, and he was probably the most expensive out of all of them, surprisingly. But yeah, I mean, he's in the collection. Got him now. Give him a go later. This game is incredible. Ratchet Gladiator. Now, okay. People hate on Gladiator for no apparent reason. Gladiator is absolutely sick. Gladiator is like, it kind of, for a lot of people, they're like, this is too much of a departure. There's no Clank. Where is Clank? He's a part of this. And to that extent, I agree. But also, man, this game just felt so incredible because of the premise of the story being, you've been taken to this death arena, there's a leaderboard, you want to increase your standing on the leaderboard, and just taking on the bosses and knocking them off the leaderboard and seeing yourself go up, and having these combat bots that you could adjust and change their cosmetics and their weaponry, and then also your weaponry being able to go up to level 100. So sick, so highly replayable, story hilarious, and just badass. The game is just so much fun to play. This game was like more pure gameplay. Like, if you loved shooting in like Ratchet and Clank series, this is kind of like the peak of it, to be honest. And just, yeah, so God, the gameplay in this is just so good. It's so hard to fathom, and just like being able to, yeah, fight through the combat zone, get that #1 rank, and then do it all again. Oh man, such good memories. Such good memories. This one was also a pain in the ass to acquire, because for my PS2 games, I wanted to black label pretty much across all of them. But in Australia, we only ever got the silver label at the top. So this one is a PAL copy, but once again, it had to come from the UK, because only the UK got the black label edition across the top. Australia was stuck with the silver, like, hits boxes for some reason. I'm not really sure why, but yeah, super glad that I was able to still get it, because it is, yeah, honest to God, one of my favorite games of all time. And yeah, love it. Now, I've got some more interesting ones here. So these are now just kind of the same, but alternative covers. So this one here is Ratchet and Clank, the Japanese edition. I mean, I don't believe there's any difference between the games at all, besides being natively in Japanese, but I just wanted to collect it for its cover, so I'll kind of like blow through these ones as fast as I can. And then we've got Ratchet and Clank 2, another beautiful hand-drawn art piece as the front cover. So cool. I just love these. I love these alternate covers, and it's so cool that Japan made such interesting choices compared to the kind of like more photoshopped sort of, you know, style ones, and they just went with full like hand-drawn. And then we've got Ratchet and Clank 3, which is a really fun one, just parachuting down, because you're going to be doing that so much during the game. You've got like the task force above that are all diving out of the plane, which is just like just such a cool moment that they did it like 4 times in like in the campaign. Yeah, I mean, super sick, super beautiful art. You'll love to see it. And then the final one. Now, okay, for Gladiator, once again, incredibly cool, super dope drawing style. But this one actually has an in-game difference. So in Japan, they went to Insomniac and they said essentially that they thought the game would sell better if they made, when you purchased armor, look like kind of like a Gundam being put together. So the Japanese version has like new animations, which is essentially like the armor being like loaded onto Ratchet, which is so cool that they added that, and they thought that it would actually increase the sales of it in Japan because it's more of like a Gundam thing. a really random detail to add in, but really, really cool too. But as it stands, that is my PS2 collection. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple more games I still need to get like my hands on, essentially, like Crash Team Racing is one I need to really get a hold of, and a couple of the Crash Bandicoot games in general as well too, but they are typically not too bad. And I believe one Gran Turismo game that I also played a lot as a kid that I need to get my hands on. But essentially the collection is nearly done for PS2. I didn't want to grab too many more that I didn't kind of like get a chance to play. I kind of really wanted this set to be more about the personal games that I owned as a kid, and just a few extras sort of like thrown in there that I found to be interesting and wanted to add to the collection. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for joining me on my floor for this episode. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.